Welcome back. So today, second day, I was going to tell you about myself. Who is that guy in front of the class? Why is he leading things over at that radio station and this class? So I'll give you a quick little synopsis of who I am, where I came from, how I got my start. Again, it was pretty much just like your story. When I was a young guy, this is back in middle school, I think it was between 6th and 7th grade, I remember going to bed one summer night and saying, "Good night, Mom, I love you, I'll see you in the morning." And then I woke up the next day and said, "Mom, something has happened. I believe my voice needs to be checked out by the doctor." And from there, I just had this kind of voice, and people say, "Yeah, you should be on the radio. That sounds kind of cool." I thought, yeah, I like radio, I like music and stuff. That's interesting, but I really want to do some other stuff. Like I really like to be a basketball coach. I think I'm going to go be a basketball coach. So anyway, middle school went by, and I went to high school, got to high school, and still had this voice thing, and still kind of interested in radio. And I heard Baton Rouge High had a radio program. I thought, it'd be pretty cool to go just check out, because I've always been interested in it. So I got here, and I kind of fell in love with it. I'm generally a quiet, introverted kind of guy. So the idea of me being on the radio or even on camera like this years ago would have just thrown me for a loop. So I was really nervous about that kind of stuff. But I found whenever you put me into a room with just a microphone instead of people around, I get no problem with that at all. So it was really helpful for me to kind of come out of my shell and let my personality shine and all that kind of good stuff. So that was my experience at WBRH. The guy that taught us radio here at WBRH many years ago was really demanding. So he knew a lot of stuff about radio, and he wanted to make sure that we knew a lot of stuff about radio. And at the time, I don't think I really appreciated it, but I thought he was just kind of being mean, just to be mean or so. But he really wanted us to know radio. So he taught us everything that we needed to know about it. And that was really helpful, because I graduated here from WBRH. I went over to LSU to go to college. And I got recruited right away. So I was doing my work over here at WBRH in high school, and the guy that was over at KLSU, the radio station at LSU, heard me on the radio and called me up one day and said, "Hey, when are you going to come over to LSU?" I was like, "I got to start in the fall semester." He's like, "Come work for me." So right off, I got a job. So that was really cool. So I landed over at KLSU after learning all about radio. He left, and I was over at KLSU for a number of years. And got to do a whole lot of different jobs, and I'm very curious, so I want to know how things work, what that department does, what this department does. I want to get my hands dirty, so that's just my personality. I want to have that experience. So I did that. I went to a whole bunch of different jobs there at the radio station, and worked it in production room, in the engineering department, programming, pretty much you name it, kind of across the board. I did it. I started off as the morning show guy there in my freshman year, which was really kind of a big honor. So that was really cool. I had a really good experience, got to be the station manager at one point. I was about to graduate, and the one thing that I never had any interest in was doing news. So that's one department that I didn't get into. And I remember telling a news girl, I was like, I admire you so much, because I have no interest in news at all. It's just kind of people dying all over the place and tragic stuff all the time. And I'm just amazed that you show up and you cover that stuff, and you do really well. But that's something I'll never do. Until I was about to graduate, and I got a phone call from another person, and they said, "Hey, Todd, this is such and so over at the Louisiana Radio Network. Can you come in? I heard you're looking for a job once you graduate. I got something over here at the network that might fit you really well." "Cool, okay, what kind of job is it?" And he said, "Oh, I was doing news." I was like, "Oh. Okay, yeah, I'll go check it out." And so one of the lessons learned there, and I've heard from everybody else in the industry, is that jobs in the radio industry are pretty rare. So if you get any opportunity to get a job in radio, say yes to it. So I said, "Yep, I'll be there. I'll check it out." So I went there, met the guy. He did an interview and everything. He wanted me to go into the room, record a couple of newscasts or so, and I did well. So he hired me and said, "Okay, tomorrow you're going to show up and do news." So I did that. Next day I was thinking, I'll probably do a news story or something. I'll probably take the afternoon 3 hours or so to knock out a newscast and go record 30 seconds worth of audio. But it turns out, so I showed up at 3 o'clock and it's 3:01, and the guy says, "Okay, man, cool. So you got the 4 o'clock newscast." I was like, "Oh man, okay, that's cool. What do I need to do?" He said, "Well, you need to go put together 5 stories. It's going to be a 2.5 minute newscast, so you need to get 5 stories to cover that, and you need to call people and grab actualities, interview people, put it all together. So you go on at 4 o'clock." I was like, "Oh my goodness, really? I have to do all that kind of stuff and only have like an hour to get that done?" He's like, 58 minutes now. Go, get with it. So that showed me at that time, I was like, man, I really need to kind of step my game up. So thank goodness I had all of this experience at Baton Rouge High, at LSU, of having this wide skill set that I developed over time, and I was able to put it together. It probably wasn't the greatest newscast in the world, but over time I got really good at it and it got it down to a process. So practice, practice, practice. You get a lot better once you practice, and that's what we're going to be doing this semester, is getting a lot of practice with radio so that you develop those skills right now and can roll that into a career in the future. Even if you don't go into radio or broadcasting in general, a lot of the people that I went to school with and worked at the radio stations with have gone on and used those skills in whatever career they got into. So I was at Louisiana Radio Network for a while. In fact, I met my wife there, so one of the best things that came of it. Then I also got hired over at the Radio Weather Network. So that was a cool job because I got to roll out of bed in the morning, turn my computer on, and start recording weather forecasts for stations around the country. So I had them from Maryland out to Barstow, California. So I'd sit there and record in my little home studio and post them to the internet. The radio stations would come in, download them, and play them on the air throughout the day. So that was my job for the Radio Weather Network. I did that for a number of years. And then eventually I graduated. It was about a year after that. I was kind of applying for jobs, looking around for something pretty permanent, when KSLU over at Southeastern Louisiana University, they advertised for a program director. Program director takes care of everything that's on the air. So I applied for it, got hired, and was there for about 2 years before the general manager left. And then I took over as the general manager, and I got my master's degree over there at Southeastern in communication, in the communication department, organizational communication. So that's kind of my career. I was there for a long time, taught students in the classroom, taught students hands-on at the radio station, and I'm kind of taking that now and doing that over here at WBRH. So I was there at Southeastern since 2000, and then about 19, 20 years right there. So now I'm coming back to WBRH and KBRH, and glad to be here. Glad to be able to share all the skills that I've developed over the years with you, give you bits of wisdom, get you some skills and tricks to kind of work a little bit better, more efficiently, and do it at a very high level. One of the things I found when I graduated from Baton Rouge High is that going over to LSU, people didn't know radio, and you're going to know a lot more coming out of this class than pretty much anybody else at any university radio station, because they just don't get taught the information that you're going to be learning throughout this year. So if you're interested in it, even if you're not interested in it, you're going to learn some stuff along the way, and that can really roll into maybe your first job in radio at a university college radio station over at LSU, maybe over at Southeastern as well, who knows. But be curious. Learn as much as you can, ask questions along the way. If you don't know something, you're curious about it, I'm here to answer all those questions. That's what my job is. So put me to use, put me to work, and I think we're going to have a pretty great career. So there you have it, there it is, and I'll catch up with you next time.